On today's episode of Maize and Blue Corner, we talk about all the crazy stuff that's going on in the world, and we all give our opinions on that. We also answer a bunch of your mailbag questions, and we list our top 5 TV show characters. Enjoy the show.
Yep. And we back.
Welcome to episode 9 of Maize and Blue Corner. We have a pretty long episode for you guys today. We tackle a lot of different things. If you have not subscribed yet, it would really mean a lot to us if you guys could do that. So hit subscribe, hit like, follow us, whether you're on Apple, Spotify, or YouTube. And most importantly, if you know anybody, if you have any friends, family members that would like our show, just tell them about us. We really want the word of our podcast to be spread around, and we appreciate everyone who listens and everyone who does spread the word. We're recording this episode on Thursday night, June 4th. I'm your host, Max, aka Wolverine Corner. Joining me today, as always, is Ben Cooper, and we have the boys from UM versus Everyone, Ryan and Jacob. And we also have a new addition to the pod today, our editor, our favorite person in the world, Quentin. So we have a packed house tonight, and we should have a lot to say. Quentin, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing pretty good. How about you, Max?
You know what? We're hanging in there. It's been an interesting week, but we are hanging in there. So that is the voice of Quentin. You're going to hear plenty from him today. The first thing we're going to talk about on the pod today, and to be honest, we were a little skeptical whether we were even going to address all this, but with no sports really happening right now, and with the insane, crazy time we're going through right now, we felt like even though we're 4, or I guess there's 5 people, even though we're 5 nobodies right now, we at least wanted to touch on everything that's going on in the world right now, everything that's going on in this country, and it's really crazy. So, if anybody feels like they don't want to answer or you don't want to talk about this, you don't have to. But we at least wanted to give our take on all this stuff. Ben, do you have anything to say about all this?
Firstly, I mean, obviously this could be very controversial and stuff, and we're gonna try to keep it. We're gonna say what we believe. Obviously, it's hard to talk about things like these without being political, but we'll try not to just be like. We'll try to back up what we're saying and not just make obscure statements out of nowhere. But to start off, I think shedding somewhat of a positive light, just the fact that like so many big creators and people, and just people of like power, I guess, or like people that have popularity, saying what they believe in, trying to help out in whatever way they can. That's really good to see, I feel like, because for especially like creators, people who their livelihood and their business is essentially people liking them and watching and what they put out, to somewhat put that all on the line and just say what you believe in simply because it's bigger than you. I think that was really inspiring. That's some of the stuff. That's like the best things that I've seen. Just the fact that like such big athletes, like everyone, actors, all that, they're just saying what they believe in. It's really good to see.
Yeah, so I have a lot to say, honestly, and I thought about this a lot today. I honestly prepared, what I was going to say, because I didn't want to, number one, say something stupid. And I just wanted to kind of know what I was going to say before I came on here. So obviously, if you know me, you know that I'm very white. I have a very, my whole family's white. I grew up in a very white area. I still live in a very white area. And so the first thing I want to say is, nobody on here, we're not trying to act like we know what it's like to be, a person of color, because I would be ignorant to say something like that, and it's just not true. So, I just wanted to put that out there. No, I'm not black, so I don't know what it's like. But I wanted to kind of address like 3 things, and I'm sorry if this is going to go for a while, so you guys kind of get comfy here. I wanted to address like 3 things, or 3 groups of people, I should say. The first group of people I wanted to address was like just young people in general. I'm the oldest person on this podcast. I'm not that old, despite what you hear, the people on this podcast, they call me like 40. I promise I'm not 40 years old. But
I don't know.
You were.
He's 37, guys.
39. 39.
I am the oldest one on here. So I'm speaking directly to you 4 and everybody in general. This is a really crazy time, but it's a really good time to be growing up. It's a really good time to learn. So everybody who's in, I look at our analytics on our podcast. We have like 75% of the people that listen to us is like younger than 25 years old. So the majority of people that are listening, this is going to apply to you. You guys all have the chance to, and me included, but you guys all have the chance to like change a generation, like where everyone always talks about how the older generation is racist, and like my grandma and even my dad, and like everyone always says that there's some like ingrained racism there. And to all the young people, like you literally have a chance to just put an end to that. So learn, educate yourselves, and yeah, I mean, you guys can definitely change the system. And the second group of people that I'm going to talk to is just white people in general. Again, it's all of our job to be empathetic, and that's a very hard quality sometimes. Showing empathy isn't always easy, but it's very important. We can't put ourselves in the shoes of Black people, but we can try, and we can show support, and we can show empathy. So if you're white and you look at yourself in the mirror and you don't admit that there's any white privilege, anything like that, you're lying to yourself, because we've all experienced it in some way or another. White privilege is very real. I could give you 100 examples of it. That's not the point of this, though. So Black people can't end racism. We've proven that throughout history. The white people are going to have to end the racism. And the last group of people is just Black people in general. Everybody on this podcast, myself included, we support everything that Black Lives Matter does. We support Black people in general. We're in your corner. We love and support all you guys. So I know, talking about me personally, I'm going to do everything that I can every day, and hopefully for the rest of my life, to just play my part in making the world a better place, and just trying my best to end racism. So that's pretty much all I have to say. Sorry, I rambled there for a while.
All right, I'll go from here. I grew up in one of the most privileged groups in America. I am a white kid who lives in suburbia. I go to a conservative school. I'm around the Ann Arbor area. It's like a one conservative pocket around that type of area. But it's just, I can't just sit silent with everything that is currently going on in this world. Like during the riots and the protests, a lot of people, I tweeted a lot about this. This is an issue that has been in this country ever since it began. White people have suppressed Black people since the 1600s. It hasn't even, before the Declaration of Independence, before the Constitution was ratified. There's never been, white privilege is a real thing in today's society. You don't, it's such an exhausting subject. It's such a complex subject. I can't say everything I believe about it in one spiel. So just, it's I'm glad to see this issue come to life. We're seeing the officers who murdered George Floyd being brought to justice in some aspect, but it's so much bigger than George Floyd. You see, there's constant police killings for the wrong reasons, and officers just simply get away with it when they shouldn't get away with it. So it's just, I'm tired. I'm tired of this constant negative newsreel that's constantly going in this country in the social media age. That's all I really have to say here.
Yeah, honestly, just the part where you said at the end, I'm tired. It's weird, just watching just so many negative things. You see social media. I mean, I'm in Ann Arbor right now. There's protests. I mean, I went to one a couple of days ago. There's protests pretty much every day. You see it all around you. And just it's exhausting. Even when you're just at home scrolling through social media and you see so many awful things, people on I don't know, the news, athletes, celebrities, just like obviously there's so many that are doing good things, but I'm not going to name specific names, but so many are just either not acknowledging it or trying to change the narrative. And I just think there are a lot of things. Obviously, ending racism would be the end goal, but there are a lot of small steps you got to take. Obviously, there are national elections that if you don't vote, I don't know what you're doing, but you got to go out and vote if you're of age. I'm not of age, but obviously, if I was of age, I would be voting. But I think local elections are also something that's not as valued, but those make such a difference. And if you're in Ann Arbor, Eli Savit, big fan of him. So I would consider voting for Eli Savit for Washtenaw County prosecutor. At least looking into him, because I think he's doing some really great things.
All right, so I'm not much of a political guy, so I'm gonna try and keep this short. But it's clear that racism and police brutality it's a huge issue that's dividing our nation. You know, racial inequality, it's been an issue in this country for centuries before I was born, and it bewilders me that it feels like no progress has been made towards fixing it. And so I think in these times we have to, band together, love each other, and fix this as a whole country. It can't just be black people. We have to take action and recognize how we can solve this. Voting, signing petitions, all that, donating. Yeah, we got to fix this together.
Yeah.
And I
I'll add-
100%.
Okay. Oh, you go.
I
I'll add one more thing at
100%.
the end.
All right. I 100% agree with everything that's been said. And I'm not going to talk too much about my situation, but mine is basically identical to Jacob's. And the fact that our country is founded on the fact that all lives are equal, but it's just still not that way after 200, 300 years. It just boggles my mind, because racism is something that should not take place in a country such as the United States. Like, if you think about it, it's going against the exact morals that we founded this country on. And if this keeps happening without anyone or without everyone taking part in trying to stop it, then it's just going to keep going downhill, and it's going to keep going downhill. So I think that if you're a person that hasn't done much yet, I want you to. There are plenty of ways that you can help. You can sign petitions online. There are plenty circulating around Twitter. Even just doing that's a little bit. You can donate money. You can go to protests. Any of this stuff helps. I swear, any of this stuff helps. But for racism to truly end in our country, we all need to work together. It just needs to happen. Everyone needs to have empathy, and it's just something that we need to come together and try and stop. And then once this stops, we can try and tackle other things and make our country better. That's all I have to say.
Yeah. I'll add one more quick thing. Max is the only person who's a legal adult here, where I'm currently going to be a junior next year. I'm finishing an AP U.S. history class. I took my AP exam a couple weeks ago. So it's just if you don't want to listen to us about our political views because we're young, I can get why. I can get where you're coming with that. But, before I took this AP class, I thought the United States was the greatest nation on earth, where we do all this great stuff, going into World War II to beat the Nazis and guns blazing. After I've taken this course, it's a reality check that there's never really been a time in this country where we've truly been at all the greatest country on earth to our people.
Hold up, Jacob. So what you're saying is that in the last 3 years, we have not made America great again?
America's never been great in the first place if you're a black person or if you're a Hispanic person. If you're not a white guy, well, no, it's not been great for you. There's always going to be problems with a country, but when there's still the issue on whether people should have the same rights as others or not because of their skin color, that's not a great country to me. So, if you think equality has been achieved, you're wrong. There's mass incarceration is a huge issue in this country, and it is designed to lock up brown and black bodies for prison labor and profit. It's a modern version of slavery. It's based on the loophole in the 13th Amendment that allows slavery in prison. So, both parties are responsible for that. Bill Clinton is largely responsible for signing a bill that allowed that to happen, but Ronald Reagan and Nixon, both Republicans, are also were big supporters on like law and order and locking people up. So, it's hard to see from my perspective.
Yeah, and I'll chime in here real quick too. I don't know if you guys feel the same way. I'm sure you guys do, but it really does feel different this time. Everything that's happening, it feels bigger. It feels different, and it's giving people some optimism that some real change might be on the horizon, and could happen soon. So, I'm also gonna reiterate what Ryan said. If you are a white person and you feel the responsibility that you should be helping or need to help, there are a bunch of ways to help. Like Ryan said, whether that's signing a petition, whether that's going to a protest, whether that's voting, like Ben said, go vote in your local elections, go vote in the national presidential election. Donate money if you can. There are so many ways that you can help. And I'm actually going to bring up one more thing. I saw a lot of people on Twitter and on Instagram this week with the blackout thing that was going on. I saw several people say, well, what difference are you making by putting your profile picture black or by sharing a black, picture? You're not doing anything. And that was the most annoying thing to me, because anybody who does it, anybody who shares that black picture, anybody who changes their profile picture to a blackout, they're at worst, they're creating conversation, which is the first step to change. Somebody might ask, well, why is that picture black? Or somebody might engage in a real discussion based on that picture being shared. So that was one of my biggest pet peeves this week, that there was so many people that just thought that was unnecessary, and I could not disagree more. So
Yeah.
that's
I
pretty
know
much. Go
I
ahead,
got
Ben.
one more thing. Sorry, boys. I know we've been talking about this for quite a bit, but just something that obviously we could talk about this for many podcasts on hand. I know a lot of people have, but I think just it starts with just I think the school system. When you glorify so many people, when there's statues of people that have and you learn about them in school and they're acted as heroes, but they have just have been so racist and just they're falsely glorified. It's just I think that's something that really needs to be addressed. The fact that I know a lot of us don't, but like Christopher Columbus still somewhat glorified.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, so many of these people that's just like the main one. But if you just do research, so many of these dudes, so many presidents, just including our one today, just I mean, there's just a false narrative. I think that they're doing well. I mean, obviously there's some things they have done well, but if you only show the good things for these people, then I just don't think that's fair. And I think children that are so easily persuaded need to be taught these negative things.
Yeah, and one more thing. Again, I think, Ben, you might have mentioned this. Somebody did, but if you're listening to this right now and you don't, number one, you're here for sports or you don't want to hear us talk about this, I get it. And like, I understand. But to me, like, there's something kind of inspiring about 4 high schoolers and a college, aged person that are just actually talking about these issues and are trying to put out ideas or just simply creating conversation. I feel like I've just seen a lot more of that, and I'm proud of everybody on here that have talked about that today and that have tweeted. I've seen all you guys active. I mean, Ben and Jacob, you guys, even Quentin. I think I've seen you like and retweet some stuff. So it's pretty cool to see everybody. It feels like everybody really is together in this. And if you're listening to this and you don't want to hear it, then in my opinion, you got some self-reflection to do if anything that we said today offended you or anything like that. But with that said, if you do want to have a conversation with us, if you didn't agree with something that we said, let us know. If we said something that might have offended you or that you thought was off base, tweet at us, any of us.
DM me.
Yeah,
And feel
DM
free
us.
for an open conversation.
And not just me. Like, I mean, obviously I run the Wolverine corner, but I mean, Jacob and Ryan, they're on UM versus everyone, and Ben and Quentin, they all have Twitters. You can find them. I follow them, and we're always engaging with each other. So it's not hard to find them.
Yeah.
Talk to us. Like, everybody on here wants to learn. I can promise you that. And I think that's what's so inspiring about young people, and that's why I mentioned them in my message. Like I think young people are smarter these days. I think they're more willing to learn, and they're harder working than the boomers give them credit for. So, yeah. Does anybody have? I know. I mean, that was like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Does anybody have anything else to say? Feel free if you do.
Just want to say that I know none of us on the podcast right now are black. We can't. It's impossible for us to speak on it from experiences, but we're going to do the best to educate ourselves. And yeah, I hope if there's anything we got incorrect, just as Max said, just let us know.
Yeah, and that's the most important thing. Educate yourself. Don't always don't always listen to one side of the news. Feel free to tune on, or if you're liberal, feel free to tune into Fox News every once in a while. If you're conservative, feel free to tune into MSNBC or CNN, and I don't close your mind with the same beliefs all the time, and just educate yourselves, do your research, and figure out how you can personally make a difference. And if everyone does that, that's a good first step into solving a problem. So we're gonna move on here.
We're gonna stick to sports from now.
Yeah, we're gonna shut up.
We're
Gonna shut up and dribble.
When Drew Brees does it, he's allowed to have his opinion. According to Laura Ingram. All right, that's my political joke of the day. Here we go.
You're good. So we actually have no guest on this podcast, mostly because I kind of had a feeling we were going to do a 20-minute rant about that. And I don't mean to call it a rant.
That's our special feature.
Yeah, it wasn't a rant. It was a very serious conversation. So I just wanted to clarify that. So we're going to go right into mailbag questions here. First question from U of M Graphics. He said, BEILEIN recruited work ethic, and he recruited to his system rather than stars. Juwan seems to be going after the top stars and the 5 stars and stuff like that. And then he asked, which system is better? Do we like what Juwan is doing, and do we think that it will work? Ben, what do you think?
This is a very, very long question. I mean, there's a lot of questions, but I'll start with just the first thing about BEILEIN's recruiting. I think just when he came in, they're very different situations. If BEILEIN just was going for the 5 stars right away, I mean, with where the program was at when he came in versus where Juwan came in, I mean, it's not even comparable. So I think to compare those two, it's difficult considering the circumstances. But I think obviously BEILEIN was great. He was able to take these guys that were much lower recruited and turn it into very successful teams. And Juwan, going after the top stars, I personally enjoy it. I mean, it's hard when you get your hopes up by a guy who goes to Arizona State, and we don't say his name on this podcast, but I think it will work out. I mean, I don't know what it just says, will it work? I think obviously we're going to be a tournament team. And I think eventually Juwan will win a national championship, so I'd consider that work.
Yeah. So I agree that you can't really compare them right away based off the circumstances that they came in, but also that these are just 2 completely different systems, as you mentioned in the question, and both of them have their own strengths and weaknesses, which I think are good and or bad for the program. Like Juwan, I think that what Juwan has that BEILEIN didn't have, why he could chase after these 5 stars, is because he has like the NBA pedigree, and he has the connections to people. He's got the I want to play for him type of feel.
For sure.
And I think that's why it's working for him. That's why you see Michigan's in like more and more top recruits, top 5 and whatever. But I think that even though we swung and missed this year, I think that if he keeps doing what he's doing, I think that the Michigan fan base is going to be pretty happy with what comes of it sooner rather than later. And the thing about BEILEIN is that BEILEIN had like this uncanny way of finding diamonds in the rough, like Mar. And I think that his way of recruiting is great. Like, it's great. It turned so many relatively unknown prospects into NBA talent, and I think that it was a great way of recruiting for what he had going into it. But just his system, sometimes it would live and die by one part of the game, which for me it looked like the three ball. And so, like, if the entire team was not good at threes, I just don't think it would work. So I think that the way that Juwan, how he recruits more diversely, I think that's better for the program. But Beilein's coaching abilities and ways to find talent, I think that that's what he has over Juwan.
Yeah, I agree with what you said there, Ryan. If you compare kind of like the two ways of recruiting, the way that Beeline did and how Juwan's doing it, both have been successful before. We saw what Beeline did. Obviously he took us to two Final Fours, and then you have programs like Kentucky and Duke. They're always in the thick of things come March and April because of like their talent. So I think in order to have kind of like a perfect team, you got to have like that perfect blend. Kind of like the 2018 Michigan team where they had some higher ranked recruits and then they had a great supporting cast. At this point, I think there's not really a definitive answer as to which system is better. It's objective, but I do like the way that Juwan has recruited so far, and I think it will pay off in the end.
Yeah. I mean, to compare Juwan to Beeline already, that's tough because Beeline is a college style coach. Like it's undisputable. He went to the NBA and lasted not even really half a season because
Yeah.
he's not built. His play style isn't built for the NBA because he teaches defense and fundamentals. But like Jawan, he has. I've said this like ever since the beginning of the season. He could be better than Beeline in the end. Like the way he recruits, even though Michigan's basketball team wasn't that great last year, ninth in the Big Ten. I mean, it was a transition year. Like no one really expected Michigan to be that good. Like and in his first year, despite the a season that could have gotten more, could have gone better, he still got the top class in the Big Ten. And no, it's not just based off of average. The quantity matters too there. But he's recruiting to win a national championship in college basketball right now. Even the longer it goes, you're gonna need blue chip guys. Like, yes, Beeline got to the championship 2 times, but you got beaten twice by two programs that, guess what, recruit blue chip guys. Louisville did cheat, yes.
Yeah.
But,
That block was clean.
then again, Michigan had a double-digit lead at one point. Could have still won.
Yeah.
Villanova had a 7-point lead, I think. Then DiVincenzo entered the chat. So
That's a nice way of putting it.
Give it 2 to 3 years, and then a definitive answer would be clear. Like once we see how Franz does, we see how if we can get some 5-stars to join the class and make a real difference. See how Shondi Brown or see if I think Juwan's biggest test so far. We'll see what he can do with No Gel Eastern. No Gel Eastern is great defensively. Cassius Winston himself said he's like the hardest guy to score in the Big Ten.
Mm-hmm.
But on offense, okay. If Juwan,
he shoots the ball like Michael Scott in that basketball.
I think Quinn has a better shot than him
for sure.
Well, I'm a knockdown shooter. I don't know about you.
If Juwan can make No Gel Eastern into someone who's at all good at offense, I don't see why Eastern couldn't somehow play NBA ball. If he's a lockdown defender, and if he has like some sort of jump shot, that's great. 2 ways. Everyone loves that. So yeah, just like I'm gonna look at how Eastern does at Michigan, and that'll really show me how good Juwan is.
Yeah, so I think Beeline gets hated on a little, well, not hated on, but he's still recruited very well. I think we need to need to kind of back up and give Beeline a little bit more credit. Obviously, it started with that 2012 class with Mitch and Spike and Staskis and Karras and whoever and Glenn Robinson. I just named all of them. That was nice. But it started. Guy. Yeah, it was started off with that 2012 class, and after that, I mean, he recruited well. He did recruit more to his system, but he still was pulling plenty of top 150 guys. So I think the difference in recruiting style is definitely there, but it's probably not as different as you would think. I think Beeline still went after 5 stars. I mean, there's no denying. I mean, he really wanted guys like, I mean, if you guys remember Jaylen Brown and Mo Bamba, and I mean, we really did want a few of those 5 stars, and he landed Mitch and Glenn Robinson. So I think that the main difference between the two, and I believe Ryan said this, or maybe somebody else did, I don't remember, but Juwan, I don't think Juwan is recruiting much to like a system. Juwan is recruiting much more versatile guys that can probably play in more systems, while Beeline was picking and choosing, well, who's going to fit in my system? Who can shoot the 3 ball well? Who's a versatile guy that can maybe play the 2, 3, or 4? So I think that's the biggest difference there. I mean, sure, it looks like Juwan's going after more talent. Like, there's no denying that. But I think the biggest difference would be more recruiting to a system, which Beeline did, and Beeline did a tremendous job at. So I kind of favor the Juwan way. That's not a knock on Beeline. What Beeline did worked, but I favor the Juwan way because I think it's the clearest path to a national title. And Michigan, that's the next step for Michigan basketball.
Yeah.
If you look at the Michigan basketball the last 8 years, there are not 10 basketball programs better than Michigan. Michigan is a top 10 basketball program of the last decade, certainly. And that's not even debatable. Yeah. So the next step is, how do we win that national title? And I think when Juwan took the job, he realized that the fastest way to get to that national title game, to possibly win a national title, is getting elite recruits in here. So I think it's going to work. I think it's already working. And even somebody mentioned earlier, like, we swung and missed last class. Yeah, we did. We missed on Todd. We missed on Christopher. But we landed 3 top 100 guys, too. So, like, Dickinson and Zeb and Williams, like, these are ballers. So, I mean, even if Juwan whiffs on every 5-star for the rest of eternity, if he's still pulling in 3 or 4 top 100 guys every class, we're going to be in good shape. I want everyone to kind of take a step back and say, Juwan basically whiffed on every top guy, and we still pulled in the top class in the Big Ten. So
I'll add this one thing. If our biggest issue as a program is swinging and missing on 5 stars, I'll take that program.
and still signing 4 or 3 or 4 one top 100
have the chance at them.
Yeah,
like, it looks like we're gonna get them. That's a great sign. And like, another thing is, like, with the system thing, Juwan's gonna get NBA style guys, versatile guys, like you said. They're gonna NBA's teams don't really have as much of a system as college teams might. Yeah. So, they're a lot. So, like, we've seen this in how some of Beeline's best players actually did in the NBA. Trey Burke, not great. Nick Stauskas, not great. I'm sorry, am I wrong?
I mean, Karras, let's be real.
Karras has been good, but Karras has been Hardaway's been pretty good too.
Hardaway's kind of like Mitch McGarry.
Well, he decided to.
I don't think that's not on Beeline.
I don't think that Mitch McGarry's in the same. Yeah. I don't think that Mitch McGarry's like the same type of thing. He had the chance to be good with the Thunder. He had the chance to be good with the Thunder, but that was more of his decision.
Yeah.
Maybe
it's Steelers' decision.
I think we'll be seeing, if Juwan can make Franz a first rounder, or some other guy, like, see if, like, you can make Hunter into a first rounder. That'll bring in even more recruits, and we'll certainly get some guys who are, like, in the top 10 actually get a top 10 guy to get us instead of leading us on. And then
wait, who was the second player? You said Hunter. Get Franz or who?
Like Franz or Dickinson.
Hunter. Hunter Dickinson. Friend of the pod, Hunter Dickinson.
Yeah. Good friend of mine personally, actually. All right. I know we touched on this for a bit, but are you done? Wait, my bad, Jacob. Did I interrupt you?
No, I'm done now.
All right. I just wanted to say, like, it's so, I think it's impossible to compare the two. I mean, I think Beeline, when he came in, it's just like, I don't think Juwan's coaching style, where he just, like, is the NBA style where he just goes for the best dudes. I don't think it would have worked on a team when BEILEIN came in, because that team had not went to the tournament in I believe 6 seasons. Someone could fact check me, but I know it's at least 5 seasons, and like BEILEIN essentially built the program from the ground up, and for that, obviously, that set up Juwan, which is how we are able to go for these guys. But I think just comparing, obviously in sports, everyone loves to compare. Always creates a conversation. But I think just they're both similar to like Jordan, LeBron, just except they're both great. One doesn't always have to be better. Just acknowledge their greatness.
For sure. All right, and we spent like a ton of time
my
on
bad.
that. So no, you're good. You're good. We're gonna move on to the second question here. This is from Meta Woot and Peace, JDW. Justin, thank you for the question. It's kind of a troll question, but he said, why is Franz better than Rocket Watts? So, I mean, yeah, let's answer it. Quentin, what are you thinking over there?
Okay, this is a very interesting debate, but if you look at it from just a pure statistical standpoint, Rocket Watts averaged 9 points a game last year, 2.3 rebounds, 1.7 assists, and shot 38.9% from the field. And then Franz, he averaged 11.5 points a game, 5.5 rebounds, 1 assist, and 45% from the field. So he shoots way better, and he scores a little bit more, grabs a couple more rebounds, and that kind of comes with the height, though. Franz also, played a little bit more than Rocket. I'm not sure if Rocket started all of the games last year like Franz did, essentially for us. But I'm not taking anything away from Rocket. But if you look at who has more NBA potential, you look at a 6'2" point guard, or a 6'8" wing who can shoot, drive, can really do it all. I'd probably, that's would be my case for Franz Wagner.
Hey, Jacob.
It's my turn? Is it my turn? Okay. Yeah, I'm going to agree with that. Franz is better than Rocket. I mean, he averages more points, more rebounds. Not as many as assists, but it's close. I mean, it's 1.7 to 1, so they're not exactly Magic Johnson out there. So Franz is more efficient. I mean, Franz is shooting 45%. Rocket's shooting 39%. Franz has a higher three-point shooting rate. His free throw percentage is better, and Franz has more blocks and steals per game than Rocket. So they average, I think, about the same amount of turnovers. Yeah, Franz averages 0.1 turnover per game more. So, and he plays more minutes than Rocket. So, I mean, if you adjusted for minutes, yeah, maybe Rocket scores more points. But then again, he's not shooting as well as Franz. So
he's taking way more shots too.
He's taking more shots per as the game goes on, more often than Franz is. So you can say all you want how Rocket's great and all that. Yeah, Rocket is a good player, but Franz is better. His potential to be Franz is simply better. That's it.
I mean, I agree. Franz is overall better. I mean, obviously Rocket. I think Franz could admit they both have their strengths and weaknesses. I think something that you guys, obviously Franz edges him pretty actually narrowly, but in pretty much every stat. But I think just his efficiency shooting the basketball, and honestly, Rocket is maybe it was because he was playing with Cassius last year, but like Rocket is not that great of a defender. If he's on the floor with Cassius, obviously it won't be anymore, but it's just not a good defensive situation. Franz, his height, his length, pretty athletic for his size. Yeah, he's I'd say Franz is above average defender. Rocket is slightly below average.
So I think, okay, I have a lot to say here. So let me try to collect my thoughts. I think Rocket is a better defender than you probably gave him credit for. Rocket kind of he had like maybe it's just because he was a true freshman last year, but he had some really bad defensive moments last year. But overall, he took over a couple games defensively as well. So his defensive upside is really high. But just overall comparing the two players, Franz is more efficient. We know that. He's going to shoot at a higher percentage. I mean, Rocket shooting under 40% from the field is just not good enough. And again, I know he was a freshman. I know he played better the second half of the season, but overall, that's just not good enough. Franz is a little bit better of a defender, and I that's going to upset Michigan State fans because Michigan State fans have this idea that like Rocket is this incredible defender, and he did show that at times last year that he can defend. We know Rocket can defend, but Franz is 6'9", 6'8", whatever he is, and he can defend really the 2 through the 4. Actually, really the 1 through the 4, and he's shown that last season. So the fact that he can defend either wing, and if he gets switched on a guard, he can handle his business there. That makes him just more of an elite defender. And I think overall, as just a jump shooting goes, I think they're going to end up being similar jump shooters. I think they're going to be like that 35% from 3 type players next season. Rocket's probably a better pure shooter than Franz, but Rocket will also shoot a higher volume from 3 than Franz will next season, I imagine. So I think their percentages are going to be are going to be pretty similar. But overall, Franz, I think just given his versatility, given his size, and the ability to score at 3 levels is why I would give him the edge. So good question there, even though it was kind of a troll. Next question is from Michigan or from Mish Hot Takes. Starting 5 next year from Michigan and Michigan State's roster combined. I'll start off this one. I'm not gonna discuss too much. I'll go through this quickly. Point guard, I have Rocket Watts there at point guard. Shooting guard, this was so tough for me because Michigan State's shooting guard position is completely up in the air, as is Michigan's for that matter. Michigan State still might sign Monet. They might play Gabe Brown at the 2. They might play Rocket at they might play Rocket at the 2. They have Langford coming back next year. We don't know how healthy he's going to be. So I have no idea who's going to play 2 for Michigan State. For Michigan, I think it's going to be Brooks or Shondy Brown. So I'm just going to pencil in Shondy Brown as my shooting guard, assuming he's eligible. That was a really tough one, and that can go like 6 different ways. So I'm not too worried about that one. Small forward, again, this is a weird one. It's pretty obvious to me that Franz Wagner gets a nod here. Michigan State fans will swear Aaron Henry's a better player than him. I don't understand that. I'll take Franz Wagner all day. Power forward, I'm assuming Livers is back, so I'll put Livers there. If Livers does go pro, I would pencil in Joey Hauser for Michigan State as the power forward there. I would take Hauser over Brandon Johns all day, but we'll assume Livers is back, so we'll put him there. Center, if Tillman is back, obviously Tillman's the guy to plug in there, but I don't think Tillman's going to be back. So I'm going to plug Hunter Dickinson in there. So on my list, I have, God, this is going to sound so biased, but I have 4 Michigan players and 1 Michigan State player on my list.
All right. I'll try to keep it short. I know we've been kind of lengthening these segments. But point guard, Rocket Watts. Shooting guard, we differ. I got Eli Brooks.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Which is fine. I agree with that. I mean, like I said, you could have went like 9 different ways this one.
I mean, Eli, yeah, I think that's just shooting and stuff like that. Small forward, I have Franz. Power forward, assuming he stays again, Isaiah. And I put Xavier Tillman. I mean, if obviously we don't know, but yeah, I think if he stays, he's easily the best center and arguably a top 3 player.
Yeah. So my starting 5 is actually a little bit different. So I kind of went with 2 point guards instead of a point guard and a shooting guard. So I kind of moved Rocket Watts over to shooting guard.
Yep.
And I'm going to start out with Mike Smith at point guard. I think that you just can't look past what he did at Columbia last year. Of course, it's a different system. Of course, he's going to play differently in Michigan. I just think that he has the edge here. And so for that, because of the turmoil at shooting guard for both spots, for both teams, I put Rocket Watts there because obviously I think that he's just if we're comparing him to the rest of the shooting guards that we've been talking about, I just think that I'd rather have Rocket Watts. He's just more upside next year. I think that, as Max said, he's got that defense. He's got the defensive upside that I think that it can just blossom at any point. So I'd rather have him in my starting 5. And then my 2 wings are both the Michigan wings, Isaiah Livers if he comes back, and Franz Wagner. I think that you can't take any Michigan State wings over them. I don't see that happening. And of course, I have Xavier Tillman as my center. If he leaves, then I'm going to put Hunter Dickinson there. But right now, it looks like Tillman. He's the season guy. He averaged like 13 and 10, I believe, with 3 assists. So he's just a guy that it's a veteran guy that you just can't pass up having at that spot. I just don't think that there's anyone better.
Yep. And actually, Quentin, before you start, Quentin, I wanted to interrupt. Ryan, I interpreted the question more of like, hey, I think Rocket Watts is going to be playing point guard for Michigan State next year, so but I agree with you. If I could change mine, I would actually put Smith at the 1, Rocket at the 2, and that would make my team way better. So I actually agree with Ryan. I'm changing my list. All right, Quentin, go ahead.
Okay, so I'm pretty confident that I have the best list here. Just throwing it out there already. So at the point guard, Foster Lawyer. I don't know why that's even like a second thought to anyone.
That's true. I can't believe
yes, sir.
Yeah, he's the greatest shooter of all time. That's pretty obvious. And then the next 4, just Adrian Nunez. I think I don't need to say anything else. I think we can all unanimously agree that Adrian Nunez, he's probably like the greatest basketball player of all time.
That's your boy, right?
So you just have Foster and then 4 Adrian Nunez's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's fantastic. That's a great.
I've got you.
Well, I mean, do you guys have an argument against it?
I've got you
No.
beat, man.
I probably wouldn't have Foster in the lineup. I probably just have 5.
5 Adrian
I
Nunez.
have you. Quentin, I'm about to destroy you. Okay.
Oh, okay.
I've got at the point guard position, I got Steven Izzo.
Oh,
yes,
boy.
sir.
At the shooting guard position, I have a slightly taller Steven Izzo. He grew a bit over the season.
GG.
At the
freshman Izzo versus sophomore
the
Izzo.
small forward, is CJ Baird still there? CJ Baird.
I think
Yeah.
so. I think he has 1 more year.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it to CJ Baird then. Power forward, we're just gonna put Juwan back into the game.
Okay.
Got it. Then at the center, a
Tommy.
7-foot tall Steven Izzo.
Nice. Nice.
There we go. That's my list.
It's
Even
2021 Steven Izzo versus 2020 Steven Izzo.
I don't know how Adrian.
I think he grew a bit.
Yeah.
All right, moving
Adrian
on here.
Nunez is right off the bench, so it's okay.
He's a 6-man.
Yeah.
All right, moving on here. This question is from @HotTakeEmpire, which is funny because our last 2 questions came from accounts with "hot take" in their name. Hot take. He wanted to know, is the Viper position helping or hurting Michigan players' potentials? I actually really like this question. So, Jacob, go ahead and start us off.
Look, the Viper is something like everyone has heard of, but I don't think many people really know what it is. Personally, I don't. I'm trying to think of like something. Like the difference between I'm trying to think of something that like people know of, like no one really knows what it is.
The cloud.
It's like that. That's perfect. It's like
Wi-Fi.
It's like, well, like I could the Viper position. I mean, Jabril Peppers played it. You're having really great players playing that position. So, but it's like I don't really know enough about them. I've said I don't know anything really about what is the Vipers' role. They just kind of do everything, I guess.
This might be my favorite answer on the history of our podcast that Jacob just gave. That was brutally honest and that was.
Dude, like, okay,
so
am I the only one here who actually who doesn't know what the Viper position really is?
I mean,
yeah.
I mean,
Okay.
Okay.
The way I would describe Jacob's answer.
Seem cool and like woke here. I was like, no one actually knows what the Viper is.
But
Jacob, you sounded
does.
like someone who got a short answer on a test and you just didn't like study at all. So you just tried to like write anything.
I'm doing a book report on a book I didn't read.
Yeah, fact. That's a great example.
There we go. That's
okay, so
yeah.
So to clear up a little bit of confusion, the Viper in my mind is kind of like a versatile linebacker safety hybrid kind of thing. So it's just a Michigan position that you ask anyone outside of Michigan that's not an expert about what the Viper position is, they're not going to know what the hell you're talking about. So I highly recommend not talking about the Viper position when you're not talking to Michigan fans. But and as if it's hurting or helping a player's potential, if you kind of look at it, I wouldn't say it's really doing either of those. I just think it's if you look at both Khalid Hudson and Jabril Peppers, they're two people that aren't really big enough to be linebackers, but they're not really good enough at coverage to be safeties. So I think that this is a great way of utilizing their talents to a way that Don Brown can kind of like use them as kind of like a Swiss Army knife of the defense that the offense doesn't necessarily know what they're going to be doing all the time. So about the potentials, I think that I think it boosted them in some ways, but it's just that there's going to be like a ceiling that you're going to have for a Viper player because they're not really any one position. It's a hybrid of several positions. So you're not going to be drafted at like really high as a safety or a linebacker if you played the Viper at Michigan. You're probably just going to be drafted more as a like, let's hope this guy is good enough at that position. That's just my opinion. I can't speak for anyone else, but that's how I see it.
Yeah, I like what you said about the Viper, Ryan. But I kind of think of the Viper position as like a hybrid between the outside linebacker and a safety. And it's great for, athletic, beasts like Jabril Peppers or Khalid Hudson. But it kind of, puts those players in like a weird in between for the NFL. So like they're a little bit too small for the linebacker position, but they're a little bit too big to be a safety. A good example would be Khalid Hudson. Obviously, he was a little bit smaller, and then he, I guess you could say, got stronger. He bulked up a bit, and he kind of turned from the Viper, and he just became like kind of too strong, and it kind of hurt him in coverage this year. So in terms of getting to the NFL and having a great career, it might hurt them a little bit, but obviously it's been successful for Michigan in the past. So that's my take on it.
That's pretty similar to what I was gonna say. I was gonna say I think it works to an extent at Michigan. I think it's something that Don Brown, even though I'm not the biggest fan of him, I think the way he was able to use Peppers and Hudson just to fit their system, even though they were not like the typical player for either position, was really good. But I think it definitely, obviously Peppers so far has had a successful career in the NFL, but I think he was a freak of nature. I don't think Hudson will have the same success because I don't think the way he played the Viper position in college will translate well to the NFL.
So I'm gonna take the question like very literally. I mean, he asked, "Is the Viper position helping or hurting players' potentials?" I mean, it's not hurting. Everybody wants to say that it could hurt where you're drafted in the NFL. Well, that's true, and somebody even mentioned how it's it's an in between position. Well, the players that are typically playing that position are in between players, right? Like I like to describe it as like Isaiah Livers playing the 4. Like he's a 6'7" wing. Like he's a small 4, but like that he's a tweener, right? The fact that he's not going to get drafted high in the NBA, it has nothing to do with what position he plays. It has to do with the fact that he's a 6'7" tweener. So the players that are being put in the Viper position, I think it's Don Brown, playing them in a position that it's who they are. It's who they are as players. I mean, if Jabril Peppers played safety all 3 years at Michigan, is he a first-round pick? I don't think he is. If he's playing corner all 3 years at Michigan, is he a first-round pick? Probably not. So
he's certainly not a Heisman candidate.
Yeah. So the fact that like a position was almost created to utilize these players' strengths, I don't understand how you can say that that's hurting a player's potential when their potential might not be that high anyways at another position permanently. So I think it is absolutely not hurting. You're finding these in between players and you're creating a hybrid position for them, and I think it's genius. And about what Ryan said about calling it a Viper with other people, they probably don't know what you're talking about. That's absolutely true. But there are other teams that are doing it. I think Ohio. I read an article. I want to say it was forever ago, but Ohio State has like a Viper position, but I think they call it like the Bullet or something like that.
It's like the striker, maybe.
We're doing it better.
I really have no idea. So there are other programs that are using the Viper position, right? The hybrid linebacker safety. But Michigan's has just kind of became more public because Jabril Peppers, thrived so much in that position.
Yeah.
So, So to answer the question, no, it's absolutely not hurting players' potentials. I would actually argue that you're using them and you're almost you're like almost hyping them up because you're putting them in so many positions to succeed when they might not otherwise if they were a safety or a linebacker or a corner or whatever the case may be.
It's
So
also a hype up because it's this flashy new unknown position that you're putting someone in. It's special.
Yeah, but I think
so
if you play Viper for Michigan, I don't think if you don't get drafted, I don't think that's because you played the Viper. I think it's because your physical attributes have more to do with that. If you're a stud, you're going to play in the NFL regardless of whether you played safety, linebacker, or the Viper. So I don't think that that's hurting much.
So, like, my ending thoughts about this is that the Viper doesn't hurt a player's potential. Like, a player's potential is a player's potential. It might hurt the draft slot based on what their physical attributes are and based on what their current statistics are if they're used differently.
But I don't think
I don't think it's gonna hurt the
that's
potential.
I don't think it's hurting the draft stock, to be honest, because it's like the question is playing the Viper hurting the draft stock? I don't think so. Like, I feel like their physical attributes are their physical attributes, right? Like like whatever position they play is almost, I don't know, unless the only way it would hurt somebody is if, in theory, Michigan decided to plug somebody in at the Viper, and then they realized that oh crap, if he would have played just straight strong safety for 3 years, man, he would have been a beast. So the only way that I can really see it hurting somebody is if the Michigan coaching staff makes a bad decision on who plays that position. So
which we'll never know about, essentially.
Exactly, yeah, and that's a good point. Well, we really will never know. I mean, what happens if Jabril plays safety for all 3 years? I don't know. Is he a better NFL player because of it? I don't think so, but who knows?
All speculation.
We'll never know for sure.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right, so yeah.
Just
next question.
How many licks does it take to the center of a Tootsie Pop? We'll never know.
Facts, yo.
I don't think those are comparable in the slightest, actually.
Oh, Jesus. All right. Next question. This is from Lucas Whitney. Lucas Whitney from Bacon Wire, by the way. Our friends over at Bacon Wire.
Are they our friends?
Our good friends.
I think they're our friends, right?
I feel like they're our acquaintances. The Blue by 90 boys, those are our homies.
True. But I have nothing against Bacon Wire for the most part. They
broke. I mean, I have some beef with them because they broke, that guy who's in Tempe now.
Did they really break that news, or did they publish a story and pray to God that it was right?
Yeah.
They knew what they were doing.
They knew.
No, we got to declare war.
Give credit where credit is due now, okay?
So, all right, from Lucas Whitney, he simply said ketchup is better than ranch, correct? I just love the way he worded that question.
Correct.
What's
your hand?
I think that this question kind of has the same energy as saying, what is your favorite condiment and why is it ketchup?
Exactly. Right?
If we're being honest.
All right, Quentin, what's your take on ketchup is better than ranch, correct?
To be honest, I'm not really a big condiment guy. That's just who I am. But if I were to choose between ketchup and ranch, I would say ketchup. So in this case, he is correct. So.
Yeah.
For me at least.
I mean, I'm a big condiments guy myself. So I voiced my opinion about ketchup on eggs, ketchup on mac and cheese, both slap-down combos. But I will say this. Ranch, opposed to ketchup, there are worse and better ketchups. Ranch, there are hit or miss ranches. Like if you go to Cottage Inn ranch hits so differently. Best ranch I've ever had in my life.
Yep.
Yes.
In terms of ranch in general, though, I think I gotta give ketchup the edge. There's just more. You can do more. And if we're talking, obviously, the best caliber ketchup versus the best caliber ranch, I'm giving it to ranch. But overall, ketchup is superior. Sorry.
Yeah. So I definitely agree that there's kind of a spectrum as to a wider amount of things that.
I like how much we're going into detail here.
There's definitely more variation in how good a ranch can be, but in my opinion, I just use ranch more, so I'm gonna go ahead and disagree with that statement. I use ranch for instead of ketchup for fries, I use ranch for fries, which sounds really weird for people, but
it's not bad as long as it's that Cottage Inn ranch.
Also, pizza crust, I use ranch for that. I use ranch for a lot more things than I use ketchup now. I used to use ketchup a lot, when I was younger. but it's really switched from using ketchup to ranch. Like I'll eat chicken strips with ranch. It's just
Oh,
what I
yeah.
use more.
Yep.
So I just prefer ranch.
Yeah, so I agree with everything he just said. And like Ben said, there are definitely like good and bad ranches. Jet's Pizza has amazing ranch. I'm just gonna throw that out there. I don't know if you guys have ever had it, but also speaking of ranch, like Hidden Valley's kind of trash. Like everyone's like, oh, Hidden Valley's super good, but
Hidden
it's
Valley's
not.
decent.
I think the best ranch, and for some reason I don't know why it's slept on, but it's just like Kraft Original Ranch is my favorite. Is my favorite out of the bottle ranch.
Okay.
So, yeah. So no, Lucas, you are incorrect. I use ranch for so many things, like Ryan said, fries, like chicken. It doesn't matter. Like I would prefer ranch on anything, pretty much.
Burgers, seafood, whatever you want. Yeah.
I mean, hey, I don't know if I would put ranch on a burger, but like I feel like it wouldn't be bad. I feel like it wouldn't be bad.
A chicken burger is not bad.
I don't think it's bad. It's just not my first thing.
Yeah. So, all right, Jacob, what are you thinking?
Okay, well, I kind of have to side with ketchup here, partially because I wasn't blessed with very good food genes. I'm allergic to eggs, and eggs are an ingredient in ranch. So
it's biased.
I've had fake ranch before. No, it's not that good.
Yeah.
Like I had fake peanut butter. Like my mom was like telling me, "Oh yeah, it tastes just like it." And I don't like peanut butter. Peanut butter's garbage.
No, I don't.
So
it probably doesn't taste just like it.
Ketchup is better than ranch. Ranch is just underwhelming, in my opinion. But ketchup goes on a lot of stuff. You know, you got hot dogs and burgers and fries, all the good American foods that everyone loves. Ketchup probably goes with it.
All the foods that I can't eat, pretty much.
You see, and that's where I'm impartial, and that's where I can't really say that because I put mayo on my burgers, so I can't really say the same thing about ketchup. So that's why that's one more reason I'm more towards the ranch side.
Yeah.
Wait, there's nothing wrong with mayo on a burger. Why did everyone like gag at that?
Mayo's just I hate mayo.
But like, I just feel like that's a very common. Like, if you go to a restaurant, like that mayo comes on a burger pretty much like every time, unless you order it without it. So, anyways,
I'm not telling them to put on my burger. Okay.
Okay, here we go.
Okay.
We're gonna Lucas. Thank you for the question. I appreciate it. We're gonna move on to our boy at mcoblue_77. That's our boy. He wanted to know rivals or 24/7 and why.
I think we all have the same answer for that one. We have to all go through.
I'm gonna say my reasoning, but then I think just EJ Holland, legend. 24/7 is pretty ass. I mean, I'm gonna be real. It's not. I think even to have them in the same sentence is insulting to rivals. But yeah, it's like rivals would be like equivalent to I'd say Michigan, and 24/7 is MSU. That's just how I would compare it.
No,
that's for football.
Okay, so listen, I'm not gonna shit on 24. I like. There's a lot of good people over at 24/7. Sam Webb is great. Like I can sit here and name like all the good people at 24/7. But over the last like 6 months, I'd have to say that I'm like slowly like just enjoying rivals just more for some reason. EJ Holland is killing it. I mean, dude, Michigan football recruiting right now. Like if you are not following EJ Holland and if you're not subscribed to him, like I don't know what you're doing right now. He is murdering. He is murdering the recruiting scene right now. So for that reason alone, I'll side with rivals. But I have nothing against 24/7. There's really good Michigan people over there.
I think James Yoder is going to be a little bit mad about that Sam Webb comment. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, well,
but
I don't think James Yoder listens
to the
podcast.
my Yoder game.
Bro, he liked my tweet the other day, and I got so excited. Okay.
Why?
Anyways.
Why? It's not an accomplishment. Getting blocked.
He was a role model to me as a young boy.
Holy hell. All right, move on. Move along.
Your answer is void.
Rivals.
All right.
Okay, never mind. It's not void. All right. Yeah, I will never trust 24/7 crystal balls. You know, I used to love those. I thought it's cool. You know, I forgot. Oh, where are they gonna go? Now I'm just like, after I stayed up till 11:24 p.m. to see where a guy would go, and leaving that utterly disappointed. And I fully expected him to go to Michigan. and we all know who I'm talking about. He who shall not be named went to Arizona State. I will never trust crystal balls again. Every time I see a Michigan guy like a Michigan target, like I'm committing on, this day. I'll like check their 24/7. Like, oh, they're 100% Michigan crystal balls. Okay, still skeptical. No, I'm always skeptical now. I challenge everything. I'm like, but will he? But will he? It's probably good. Never get your hopes up, and you'll never be disappointed.
Wait, were you talking about Eno Benjamin? He went to Arizona
yeah,
State?
that's the guy that went to Arizona State.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Oh, no.
Okay, cool. I just needed clarification really quickly. Sorry.
That's a good name drop, Quinn. I like that.
So I'm also with Rivals now. I like even just last week I was on the 24/7 side, but me and 24/7 now have some beef because if you noticed on the last episode, I said that Kennedy Chandler had Michigan in his top 5 and I did a bunch of research on it earlier, and 24/7 gave me the wrong information. So God. I am no longer team 24/7 now because I'm spreading false information if I keep going there. And also the fact, my only problem with Rivals is that they still have JJ McCarthy as a 4-star. That makes me a little mad, but it's something that we're gonna get over with. It's better than going to the same person that's lied to you 5 times. Yeah, that's just.
I will say this about Josh Christopher though. I'm sorry I said the name.
Hey,
it's Eno Benjamin, man.
But the fact that he went to Arizona State has now created this thing where like every single time a big Michigan target is committing, like there's just a joke that he's probably going to Arizona State, like even when they're not even considered one of his top schools. So that's kind of funny to me. Like we'll always see that in like the group chat. Like Michigan's in for a 4-star linebacker. Probably going to Arizona State. So.
Shout out JDW.
Better Wooten P.
He's not coming.
He's not coming.
Edwards got another one.
All right. So next question. This is from Wolverine Network. This is our last question, by the way. We've literally just like voicemail questions for like 50 minutes on 7 questions. So Wolverine Network said, should Michigan still be considered a blue blood in college football? Jacob, what do you think?
We have the most wins of all time. Give me an actual reason why we aren't a blue blood. I'm sorry. Like, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, 1900s. Oh, yeah. That's your only argument. Michigan, we're still a blue blood. When a team sees Michigan on their schedule, even if Michigan is not good that year, their eyes light up a bit. They're among the names that everyone knows. It's the most iconic.
It's the team to beat.
When Jacob gets fired up, dude.
I will get fired up, man.
Wait, how many teams would you say are blue bloods?
Slay sis.
How many teams would you say are blue bloods?
Bama, Clemson isn't one yet.
Oklahoma,
Clemson's like right on Oklahoma, Nebraska, maybe.
No.
Nebraska's pretty.
I know.
USC.
Wait,
USC.
USC
is still. Texas,
Bama,
Florida. So I mean,
wait, did we say
Ohio State? Of course,
Good
Ohio State.
Lord.
We might have just been flamed, but
Arizona State.
we have the most wins of all time.
Arizona
Some of the
State.
highest winning percentage ever. So Michigan is still one of the top programs in college football. Yeah, we haven't won a national title in a while, but okay, a lot of teams haven't won a national title in a while. I haven't seen it. So
just because we haven't done it doesn't mean that other teams have done it.
Yeah. So to answer the question, yes, of course we are. Right.
Yeah.
If you combine the attendance, the brand, the by the way, we're still winning football games. I don't know if people realize that.
There is not one fan base that will look at Michigan on the schedule and just go over it.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how good or bad. Oh please. They're constantly in our mentions. We have rent free in their heads. So, but like even like it's one of the top programs. It's just it's a program teams want to be. As much as we're hated on.
No, I mean, I think being a blue blood goes with getting hate. I think teams that are like, I think those are hand in hand. The more hate if you get a lot of hate, odds are you're a big team in college football.
Well, we are.
Yeah.
Michigan's one of the most valuable college football programs in the country. So.
Yes, I don't.
Go.
I feel like
Jacob?
I feel like everyone. Can we all agree Michigan is blue blood in college football?
Yeah.
We can agree on
Yeah.
that. We don't. I think I've done like enough reasoning for
Yeah.
everyone.
I mean,
Mhm.
yeah, I
If anyone
definitely
wants
agree
to
with
add
that.
anything small.
I think Michigan's situation is a little bit kind of like UCLA is in basketball. Like they're historically great. They're like the greatest of all time franchises, even though they've died down a little bit in like the recent years. But that's relative to what they've done in the past. I don't mean like they've died down because they're still going 9, 10, and 3 every single year. But that's not bad. But it's not like national championship every year. So to me it's more like UCLA. But yes, they're definitely still a blue blood.
Except UCLA is like failing to make the tournament. Like
Yeah.
Michigan's still a top 15,
I mean,
top 25 program
I'm-
consistently.
I'm comparing them to UCLA and the fact that they used to be like the best team,
Dominant.
like every
Mich-
year.
Michigan, I mean, they're like there's like the 4 straight years where they won the title. They're still the only FBS team to win 4 straight national titles.
Exactly.
I mean, yes, that was the 1900s, but technically it's a
Exactly.
fact.
Hey, Quentin, we still a blue blood?
Yes.
That's a
Great
good
answer.
answer. One word. Yeah.
Um,
All
if-
right.
all right. So that's our last
five?
question. Yeah, we got our top list. We changed it from top 3 to top 5 this week. This was the idea of Meta Wooten Peast, Justin. He said
Another one.
top 5 TV show characters. Yeah, top 5 TV show characters. Quentin, let's hear your list.
All right. Once again, I think this is everyone can agree. Everyone listening. If you don't know these, then just take some notes. First, Jake Paul. Clearly, obviously, role for everyone. It's clearly the number one.
Yeah.
Max is too old to
choice
know
here.
who that is.
Disney should
Stop.
rehire him.
Well, I grew up idolizing him because
Yeah.
I'm 12 out here.
So, how many Japanese force have you been to though?
I don't think that's the same dude.
Isn't that the
that's-
same guy?
Is
Oh
that
wait,
Logan?
Ron Paul.
That's
My
Is
bad.
that Logan?
How many boxing
a
fights
true
have you
fan-
been in? How many
a
boxing
true
fights have
fan
you
would
been in?
know that, Jacob. A true fan.
Who
would know
says
that.
I'm a fan? Who says I'm a fan? Who says I'm a fan?
Jacob.
Okay, anyway.
Didn't you
All right,
used to
boys.
sing
Guys,
It's every day,
that's the
bro?
point. Okay, I'm
Huh?
moving on to my second person.
Yeah.
Okay.
Was that
Number
number
2, Patrick Starr. That's
Yes.
a unanimous decision from my part. Number 3, Sadie Peaks. And I don't see how anyone can disagree with that. And then the last two aren't actually like animated or like TV shows or anything like that. Stephen A. Smith, actually, I don't
Perfect.
know, he's a
You
cool
threw him
guy.
in as a character. You just threw him in as a character.
Yeah, I'm just throwing in like people that are on TV that I see sometimes. And then number 5, LaMelo Ball. I mean, he's got his own reality TV show. He's gonna be like a top 5 pick. I mean, what's
Number
not to like about him, Or no,
There's a
he was my
lot-
number 5. I
There's
started
a lot
I
not
started
to like
with
about
Jake
him,
Paul.
actually. Yeah.
I started
There's a
with
lot
Jake
not to like
Paul
about
and
him.
then moved down. So.
Yeah.
What a list, honestly.
Yeah.
Holy hell. What a list.
All right, boys. Starting. That was a tough one to follow, but starting with my number. Actually, I have an honorable mention. 2 of them. Tom Haverford, Parks and Rec. Seen the show. I'd say superior than The Office, but we're not going to go into that. Tom Haverford I just said I was not going to go into that, but if you want to give your opinion, you can do it when it's your turn, Jacoby.
No, I'll speak when I want.
Next, we got Josh Peck from Drake and Josh. That show the hit's different. I mean, if you haven't seen that show, that's probably top 3 childhood show. We might do that list again sometime, but it hits different. Number 5, from Phineas and Ferb, Dr. Heinz Doofenshmirtz.
Hell yeah.
He's actually like not as a joke. He's actually like such a good character. He's I don't know. Like if you think about the restrictions you have to be on a Disney show, if you still watch like funniest clips of him, you'll still die to this day. Number 4, we have Andy Dwyer. Yes,
Who?
Chris Pratt. Andy Dwyer, Chris Pratt. If you don't know that, that's pretty embarrassing. Parks and Rec. Probably one of the funniest dudes just in the world. Yeah.
You have 2 Parks and Rec characters in here?
Well, technically one's my honorable mention.
Oh, my bad.
Yeah. Andy Dwyer. Yeah, Parks and Rec. Number 3, Carlton from The Fresh Prince. Very elite. That's
a
a
good
top
pick.
3 one. For
Good
sure.
pick.
Number 2, I had to have like dead serious. Quagmire is so funny from Family Guy. Just his voice in general. Like even if if he's got to be on a list. And number one, I mean, you got to go. I'm a little biased. She is somewhat. We're kind of family. Olivia Rodrigo. Yeah. All right.
God.
She's actually been on 2
Okay.
shows, main, by the way. And she's only 16. She's
So-
only 16. Yeah.
Holy hell.
So my list is a little bit different. Mine are mostly serious characters, so it's going to be quite different from the rest. So my number 5 is Mike Wheeler from Stranger Things.
Nice.
Stranger Things has been like one of my favorite shows in the last 4 years, like top 3 for me. So I had to put someone in there from there, and Mike's my favorite character from it. My number 4 is Phoebe Buffay from Friends, even though people will die on the hill that it's not funny. Like she is like
It's
she's
not.
like the most odd character in the history of TV, and so that's why I had to put her on there because it's just hilarious. Number 3 is another serious character, Tom Kirkman, the president from Designated Survivor. Just like if I could choose to be like someone when I grow up, it would want to be him. So if you've ever seen the TV show, you'd know why. Number 2, it's Patrick Star from SpongeBob.
Yes.
Just
Let's go.
Yes, baby, let's go.
just the fact that they made a character that stupid is just amazing.
Finally, a good list.
And then number 1 is Mike Scott from The Office. Michael Scott.
Thank you.
Nice.
All right. Now, I'm not a huge TV fan, so please don't flame me too much for these. So I guess, Patrick's got to be on there. Elite show. SpongeBob helped raise me. I also am a big fan of Stranger Things, and I guess my favorite character from there would actually be Dustin Henderson. He's really great.
Nice.
He's great. You gotta have, honestly, from SpongeBob, I like Squidward the most. Squidward's just a mood. I hate everything. Just leave me alone type of mood. Everyone relates to Squidward in some way, I feel like. He's a really, people like, you grow up hating him, but now once you mature a little, you're like, okay, I kind of get where he's coming from now. Now, The Office, that's my last 2 because it's a elite show. It's my favorite show. I just got to go with Jim Halpert and Michael Scott.
I love it.
Nothing else to say.
So my list is definitely serious as well. I don't have any like joking ones on here. Number 5, Dexter Morgan. I don't know if you guys have ever seen Dexter. It's a great show. The fact that like this guy's he works for the police department and is also a serial killer is kind of an awesome character. So yeah, number 5, Dexter Morgan. Number 4, I have Barney Stinson from How I Met Your Mother. He's one of those characters like Michael Scott. Like you either love him or you hate him. Like you either think he's like too overboard or just ridiculous enough. So Barney Stinson from How I Met Your Mother is number 4. Number 3, I have the only Office character I have on the list is Dwight Schrute. He's my favorite character from The Office. Michael Scott probably belongs on this list, so he'll be my honorable mention. But number 3, I have Dwight. Number 2, this is the 3rd straight list with the Stranger Things character, and it's a different one than the other 2 as well. Jim Hopper from Stranger Things.
Yes.
Is number 2 on my list. I fucking love his character. I love every character in that show. It's so good. The show is so amazing. So Jim Hopper, yeah, thank God he's not dead.
He's alive.
Thank God he's just stuck in Russia somewhere.
Free my man.
Which come on, they were not going to kill off that character. Let's be honest. People were overreacting.
I mean, you kind of knew he was alive from the end of the last season.
Yeah, exactly. So hold up. I have some beef about that trailer that they released that showed that he was alive. I kind of didn't like that. Like I wanted to go into the season not knowing. So So me and Stranger Things have a little bit of beef over that trailer. Number 1 on my list, Michael Scofield from Prison Break. I think it's the first 2 seasons of Prison Break might be like the best like TV show I've ever seen. If like you're just talking like season by season, and Michael Scofield's the main character of that show. He's so smart and he's awesome. So that is my list. I'm pretty sure that list is going to win the vote. I think that was by far the best list.
He's so smart. Why is he in prison?
Well, he intentionally got into prison to break out his brother.
I don't know.
Well, that sounds stupid.
So
I know you guys said my list was a joke. I mean, I think just because they're in comedy shows, it doesn't mean they're a joke. I think that
No,
yeah,
I didn't.
I don't know.
It's
I feel like
fine.
I took a little insult from it, and I'm kind of pissed right now.
I meant serious as in like my characters are from like more well-known like serious shows. Like that's all. Like
I think they're just
Who
like,
doesn't know about SpongeBob?
yeah.
Yeah,
Who
I
doesn't
mean, I
know
wasn't
about
joking when
High
I
School
said
Who
Jake
hasn't
Paul.
heard of Parks and Rec?
Yeah, that's fact.
I mean, Parks and Rec is just terrible. So I mean,
Like you know what Parks and Rec is.
That's nice to hear.
Okay. I don't even know what we're talking about now. We're an hour 20 into this, so we're gonna cut it right now. Does anyone have anything else to add to this episode? Anything that we've talked about?
I mean,
No.
I wasn't joking when I said Jake Paul's my favorite TV show character, but you know, it
Quentin?
is what it is.
Hey, Quentin, thanks for joining us today. By the way, you
Oh, yeah,
did
man.
great.
No
You did
problem.
great. We want you
tried.
back too. By the
Just
way.
kidding. You kind of ruined it.
I'm out of here.
So that is our podcast for today. Thank you guys so much for listening. I know we went on that 20-minute spiel at the beginning about the racism stuff. So I hope that you guys at least were able to take something from that. We're living in a crazy world right now, obviously, and just remember to love everyone, love each other, support each other, do your part in making the world a better place. It's so easy to become selfish in the world. Now is not the time to do that. So lift each other up and bring the much needed change to this world that we need. So love you guys. Go Blue.
Mm-hmm.
Jake Paul, answer my DM.
Dude.
Quentin, you can cut that wherever you want.